Welcome to my channel. My name is Denise Kavalaskis, and I am a women's transformational love coach. And I got a request through Facebook to talk about how to deal with an ex. So I'm going to share with you from two perspectives. The first one is going to be how to deal with your ex, like for you, how to deal with your ex, like a direct how to deal with your ex. The second one is, and where this originated from, is how to deal with your new partner's ex. Your new partner's ex made me think how blessed I am that I don't have to deal with this. Ray's ex is wonderful. And even through my healing journey, I've created a wonderful relationship with my toxic ex by no contact. Okay, so let's start here. I'm going to read to you what was sent and via Facebook, and then that's going to give you some clarity on what I'm talking about. So she said, so I posted something on Facebook about I don't even remember what it was. Hold on, let me get to that so I could, here it is. Oh, this was good. This was good. So the meme or the post, whatever, says, if I block your number or block you on social media, it doesn't mean I'm being petty, childish, or that you won. It means you're so toxic to my life that I don't want you to be able to contact me at all. I want to move on in peace and I don't care what you're doing. I wrote at the top of the meme or whatever you want to call this, it's called going no contact like an MF boss. It's what you must do when dealing with a toxic people. You must stand up for yourself. You must love yourself enough to cut out the cancerous tumor. You must be brave and bold. Otherwise, they will take full advantage of you. So what was said was, how about an ex-wife that is relentless in making her ex-husband's life absolutely miserable? I swear it's her life's mission. The ex-husband is my boyfriend. I've been divorced for 20 years, but they've been divorced for 20 years, but they have a 20-year-old daughter together. My boyfriend will not block her because of his daughter, just in case his ex would need to get in touch with him. The toxicity of this ex triggers me all the time. Thoughts? He handles the toxicity by ignoring her, but that doesn't work either. She is constantly blowing up his phone with calls and texts. He's told me she's bipolar, which I'm sure is a big part of the problem. But she just won't let him go. And he won't either. So I'm going to be really transparent here. I'm going to be really open and honest with this whole situation here. But first, let me go to if you're dealing with your ex, okay, I want to talk to you first. Whoever's watching, you first. So, because this is like, well, both are my specialty, but the main people that I talk to is the people who are dealing with an ex, a toxic ex. So they were brave enough, you're brave enough to leave that relationship, right? You now, I think I did a post or an email about this not that long ago where it was like, yeah, you've done the brave thing now. You've divorced him or you left him or whatever. And you thought that by doing that, you had gotten rid of all of that behavior, all of that toxicity. And now he's showing up even worse because then there's court, especially if you have kids together, there's court, the manipulation and control continues through the court system. Okay. So let me address this first to you. Everything begins and ends with you. Your energy and how you're taking this and how you're handling this is everything. It's everything. So the number one thing that I would say to you in your situation is to heal that past relationship so that you are not triggered, okay? Because that's what this all boils down to, right? It's a trigger. I see my clients or past clients or women who've gone into court and they're so triggered by the ex and what he's doing, because clearly you know what he's doing, and his lawyer, right? The manipulation and the control only gets worse. So then you're triggered because of that behavior, and you're frustrated AF because the whole reason why, one of the biggest reasons why you left that relationship is so you don't have to deal with this anymore. So now you're so frustrated. OMG, you're so frustrated. You're exhausted. You're tired. You don't want to deal with this anymore. You thought it was over, and here you are. It's getting worse. You're still dealing with it, and it's just exhausting. And you don't want to do it. You don't want to deal with it anymore. But you have to, because if you have children together, unfortunately, this is how it goes down. So, like I was saying, everything begins and ends with you. What does that mean? That means your energy and how you take things and how you perceive things is everything. And it's going to shift and make such a big change in you when you go through your healing journey, to not take things personal, not be triggered, and to know how to handle the situation. Because believe it or not, you can handle the situation. You can. Even if you feel like everything is stacked up against you, like the ex and his toxic behavior, or the ex's lawyer, or the court system, or whatever is not in your favor, you can handle this situation. How do you do that? You come from a different energy. You respond and come from a different energy. So when my clients come to me, they come to me in what is called mother energy or parent energy. And parent energy or mother energy is she loves too much, she gives too much, she does too much, she overthinks everything. Okay? Knowing that, we know that like energy attracts like energy, right? So if you're in this mother energy, you're going to attract child energy. Okay, mother and child always go together hand in hand. What is child energy? Child energy is your ex. It's what you've been dealing with. It's the manipulative, controlling, spoiled brat behavior, right? It's that. It's pouting when he doesn't get his way. It's all of that, child energy. So as long as you're in the mother energy, you're going to attract the child energy, okay? Once you heal and you rise up into adult energy, you will no longer be dealing with the child energy, okay? That's just a glaze over. It goes very deep. There's many layers to this, okay? So even in the situations like in court, so what is rising up into woman energy or adult energy? It's knowing what a trigger is and healing that trigger, not taking things personal, healing the past. Because the whole thing about the past is that if it's unhealed, you're still walking around with these open wounds, and it hurts when they're touched. It's a reaction. It hurts. So as long as you're walking around with these unhealed wounds, somebody is going to trigger you. Something or somebody's going to trigger you. Whether it be this situation, work situation, even people on TV, actors, politicians, whatever, are going to trigger you because you have these open wounds, these unhealed wounds. Okay? Think of it this way. It's like in a physical way. Think of it this way. It's like you're walking around with third-degree burns, no Band-Aids on it. Like you're literally walking around with the skin falling off and you're exposed, your flesh is exposed. Everything about you is hurting. So the wind hurts, like everything, okay? So once you heal all of that, you can walk in the wind. It doesn't bother you anymore. You can touch people. It doesn't bother you anymore. Everything is now calm. You have this peace and calm in your life now, this energy, right? When and if you get triggered, you go, oh, that's a trigger. I know exactly what to do with that, right? And you go through the series of questions. This is what I teach my clients. You go through the series of questions and you nip it in the butt. You don't take things personal. It's just a trigger, right? Okay, so that's how you handle the ex. If it's directly you and you're talking about your ex, toxic ex, that's how you deal with that, right? You shift from the mother energy or the parent energy up into the woman or the adult energy. Okay, essentially, i.e., you heal the open wounds that you have, right? So, like I said, you don't get triggered, you don't take things personal. All of the past is behind you. It's just a story now. You're good with it. There's no charge. There's no emotions. Like, you can talk about your past. You can talk about your ex without the resentment and anger bubbling up inside of you, or you can even have a conversation with your ex without you getting anxiety and your body going into fight or flight. You can do all of that. Okay, so now let's switch it over to what I was sharing with you in the beginning of this about if you're like the girlfriend, or if you're the new wife and your new partner or your new husband has a toxic ex-wife, ex-partner, and they have children together. So let me read this again, and then I'm just going to break this down again, okay? So how about an ex-wife who is relentless in making her ex-husband life absolutely miserable? Number one, the reason why this ex-wife is making her ex-husband's life miserable is because he's giving her permission to do it. He's allowing this to happen. Okay. So yes, their child is 20, way over 18. There's no reason for him to have any contact with her. But even if she was a young daughter, this is still energetically giving permission to her to make his life miserable. Because remember, everything begins and ends with you. So if somebody's making your life miserable, it's because you're allowing that person to make your life miserable. You're essentially giving them permission. I talk about this with my own story of 22 years and how my life was miserable. That's the exact word that I use. My life was miserable, crying myself to sleep nearly every night. But guess what? I gave my ex permission to make my life miserable. I basically let him abuse me. Okay. So she says, I swear it's her life's mission. And it probably is. You know why? Because he's allowing it. Because once you cut it off, once you stand your ground, once you put boundaries in place, once you say no more, no more, she moves on to somebody else. She moves on to another mission to make somebody else's life miserable, whether it's somebody at work or whatever. Remember, you can't change the toxic person's behavior. You can only change how you respond to the toxic person. When we're talking toxic people and you have to deal with them because you have children together, you have to implement strong boundaries. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to say, no, this is no, you don't control me. This is not happening. You have to be very, very firm and let that person know. No, they're not going to like it. No, they're not going to like it. Of course, they're not going to like it. But guess what? That's not your responsibility whether they like it or not. All right. So, okay. So this 20-year-old daughter, to me, this is like, why? I don't understand why they're still in contact if the child is 20. There's no child support. There's no reason for them, because she says, my boyfriend will not block the ex-wife because of his daughter, in case the ex would need to get in touch with him. That's just an excuse. Again, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. That's just an excuse. For some reason, it sounds to me like he's not willing to let this completely go. And so let me talk about that. Not willing to let it go. When I left my 22-year relationship, I was still married, had not legally divorced. I wanted a divorce. I looked into a divorce. I had the divorce papers with me, filled them out, didn't do anything. We just sat there. For years, I didn't divorce him. Why? Why didn't I divorce him? I lived in a different state. We had no communication. My life had gone on. His life had gone on. Why didn't I divorce him? Why didn't I cut the final tie, the final thing that needed to be severed? Why didn't I do that? It wasn't until 2014 when I started my business and my coach said, I don't remember exactly what she said, but something along the lines of like, or the thought came into my head, you better sever all ties with him, because when you become successful, because he's still legally your husband, he could take, whatever. That thought came in my head and I was like, that's the push I needed to get the divorce. And then I did. I finally got the divorce. Okay. I know somebody else who has been with a new partner for 10 years now. She's still married to her ex. I've given her resources. I've given her everything for her to get divorced. She hasn't done it yet. Legally, she's still married to her ex-husband. Well, they're not an ex, to her husband. But she's been in a new relationship for 10 years. Why? Why is that? There's something in there. There's what I'm picking up is guilt. There's guilt there. Why, for your situation, why he won't sever the final tie, which is block her. The daughter's 20 years old. I'm feeling guilt. There's a guilt there. Guilt of letting the final thing go, guilt of maybe what he thinks his daughter will feel. I don't know. I feel guilt. All right. And so the toxicity of his ex triggers me all the time. So now this is the girlfriend saying that the ex-girlfriend or the ex-wife triggers her. Well, that is, again, all of this applies to you. You have to go in deep and heal so that you're not triggered by her anymore or this situation, and you respond differently to the situation. Okay, because remember, you can't change the toxic situation. You can't change the toxic ex. You can only change how you respond to this. That's all you can do. And how you do that is you heal. Because when you go through your healing journey, your triggers will be healed. You won't take things personal, right? That's so basically what I'm saying is you have to rise from the woman or from the mother energy up into the woman energy. You got to heal the shadow aspects of yourself from the parent, from the parent energy up into the adult energy. And even these toxic people respond differently when you rise up into the woman energy. Like my ex is very toxic. Even he responds differently. To me, we don't have contact, but we do have contact to each other through our children. Our children are in their 20s as well. That's the only link I have to him is our kids. And he even responds differently because I've healed. So again, she says he handles the toxicity by ignoring her, but that doesn't work. Of course it doesn't. Ignoring her, I mean, he hasn't blocked her, so he's not ignoring her fully, right? Ignoring her only, I guess, when it's convenient for him, but ignoring what? Her 100 phone calls, ignoring her texts, right? That's not ignoring. Ignoring is blocking, completely blocking. Whether she has a mental illness, bipolar, or whatever, yeah, I'm feeling guilt here. There's guilt here. Guilt. Okay, so this is great. All right, I'm going to share my screen with you for a second. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And you see this? This is from the Map of Consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins. And this is just part of the scale. And this is basically how we rise up into the adult energy, how we rise up from the bottom up to the top, which is healing the shadow aspects of ourselves up into the woman energy, the adult energy. Okay, so take a look at the bottom. And what we have at the bottom is shame. So what these are emotions that we have that were scaled by Dr. David Hawkins through muscle testing. Okay. So he logged them by numbers. Look at shame. There's nothing under shame. Shame is the lowest emotion that we can have, and it logs at a 20. Guilt is just right above that, which logs at a 30. These are the two lowest emotions that we can have as humans. Now, guilt and shame, Lisa Williams, I've calls them cousins. They're kissing cousins because people misconstrued shame and guilt. Okay, so let me just clarify shame and guilt. Shame is I feel like I am a piece of shit. I'm ashamed of myself. Okay, so that's what shame is I feel like I'm garbage as a whole. Guilt, on the other hand, is more of an action that either was taken or not taken. So I feel guilty because I didn't do such and such, and then the results were whatever. Or I feel guilty because I did do something and then the results were what they were, right? So guilt is more of an action that you did or didn't do that makes you feel guilty for what you did or didn't do. Where, like I said, shame is more of I feel like a piece of crap. So that's what I'm picking up. I'm picking up guilt. There's a guilty feeling there with this situation. And guilt is, you don't want to be in guilt. It's not bad, but it's just a low vibration. It's a low emotion. You don't want to feel guilty about anything that you did or didn't do because everything begins and ends with you. So what you have in here, it repels, so it goes out and then you bring it back. So if you feel guilty inside and you're walking around carrying this guilt inside, then this is the energy that you're putting out to the world. And what you get is more guilt situations, or you attract more guilt, guilty feelings, guilty people. You just attract that in your life because everything in you're putting out, and think of your energy as a boomerang. All right. So the boomerang, you put it out and then the boomerang comes back. So any energy that you're putting out is coming back to you. So if you're this happy-go-lucky person and you look at life as like amazing and this situation and everything is great, then you attract more of that feeling in your life through situations, people, or whatever. Okay, I hope that gives clarity. So the last line is he told me she's bipolar, which I'm sure is a big part of the problem, but she still won't let him go. Right, so they're still energetically attached. They're still energetically connected. Doesn't matter that 20 years of time has gone by. It doesn't matter that they're divorced. They're still energetically connected. I see this a lot with divorced couples because they haven't done the work to disconnect themselves completely. They've done it physically, but they haven't done it energetically. And this is what happens. There's still this intertwine happening between the two because they're not willing to let go. And that's what I feel was happening with me, why I didn't want to let go or get divorced, because that was the last severed tie, because I wasn't willing to let him go completely. I wasn't willing to energetically let him go. I felt like I was still connected to him when I was still married to him, even though I lived in a different state. We had no contact. There was still that energetic connection. And the old story, the old dream that I had when I married him, it was still there energetically. So that's what needs to be done. Again, there's nothing that you can do for him. He has to come to this decision on his own. The only thing that you can do for you is how you respond to this differently. That you can respond to the situation and her differently. You can't convince him. You can't sell it to him, but this is what he needs to do. He has to come to that term himself. It could turn into like a big explosion. That's what I just saw in my head, like a fallout, like a drama scene. That he may be like, that's it, I'm done, and then go into like energetically letting her go, or but there's nothing that you can do to convince him to do this. He has to come to this on his own. All right, my loves. I hope that helped. Um, I hope that helped give some clarity and things for you to think about and work on. Healing, just healing the past situations, healing the past stories, healing the past experiences, healing. That is the number one thing for you to do, healing the childhood stuff, healing all of that, because what we attracted in our adulthood stems from the childhood. So I hope that helped. If any of this gave you value, please give this video a thumbs up. You can even comment below because I love to hear from you. So let me know if this video helped you, if it sucked, whatever it is, let me know. I love to hear your voice. If you'd like more of these videos, then subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon because you'll get notified when I upload a new video. Happy Sunday.